Welcome back to the Cars of Queens YouTube channel. This isn't your ordinary Ford Econoline. It's a Survivor NYPD RMP in service during 9/11 and assigned to Midtown South, a command located close to Ground Zero. If you've been following me for a while now, you know I've been on the hunt for one of these old NYPD Econolines which have totally gone extinct since the last of the marked wagons were retired in 2019. Growing up, these were everywhere, and it's incredible to own a car in service during 9/11. Despite being retired in 2007, this van managed to stay alive while most of its sisters ended up as tin cans and lampposts. The RMP was never repainted after ending service, and thus the command markings MTS and RMP number 5837 is still visible. How I found this was randomly searching on Facebook Marketplace when the Owens Products running boards and the unmistakable roller of white paint over the NYPD livery caught my attention. A cheap but effective way the NYPD retires or condemns, as they say, old RMPs. After going back and forth with the seller for a few weeks, I finally took the drive out to Rahway, New Jersey to take a peek for myself. The van was much worse than I expected, but I should know to expect the unexpected with these old clapped out NYPD cars. If cars could talk, this one would definitely have a lot to say. The seller didn't really want to budge on his asking price of $2,800, but eventually I closed him on taking $2,500 for it. After getting it towed home, coincidentally, 6 marked RMPs immediately showed up for an EDP job at the place I parked it, which made for some interesting footage. Interestingly, this RMP was stolen a few months ago and now has mismatching keys for the ignition and doors and is in poor shape inside and out. As if life being thrashed by cops wasn't bad enough, it was thrashed by a power washing company afterwards, and the interior is an absolute mess. Unfortunately, they removed all vinyl seats out of this XL van, and the remaining front two must have sat some very large guys to be in such poor shape. Despite just 103,000 miles, the interior looks like that of a van with triple that. The NYPD usually gets extremely base model cars as their marked RMPs, such as this one, which comes with the cheap radio, vinyl seats, and floors, and roly-poly manual crank windows. My plans with this radio car is to throw out all the junk, get new seats, and restore her to the way she was in service. Much like half of the decade-old Fords I've bought, the airbag light on is pretty much a given at this point. Taking this RMP on a test drive, I was immediately greeted by the stench of the car running rich, misfiring immensely. The alignment was also way off, but on the bright side, it has new cats, alternator, and battery, and it didn't appear to be leaking any coolant from the Triton 5.4-liter V8. On a positive note, the heat was hot and the ride quality was decent for a 24-year-old van, and the engine and transmission seemed to be doing okay so far. Punching on the gas, the car is slow, and shortly after my test drive, after the car sat for 3 weeks, as you would expect, the check engine light did come on. Interestingly, there is this mysterious switch next to the gauge cluster. If any MOS knows what this would do when the car was in service, please comment down below. The steering wheel is chewed up in typical NYPD fashion, and as usual, for some reason, they removed the signal stat overhead dome light. Don't understand why, but it's gone now. That's about all for the sneak peek of one of the coolest cars I've ever gotten the chance to experience, an iconic piece of not just NYPD history, but American history. I look forward to restoring this beauty back to her old iconic look. I already have the period correct siren controller and the Street Hawk light bar, and I'm working on gathering the rest of the equipment. Now, as for you guys, if you guys ever find any in-service photos of my RMP 5837, be sure to DM me some on Instagram. If you are able to find that stuff, I would really appreciate that. I plan on keeping this RMP as close to original as possible, trying to restore her as much as possible and not replace parts. What I will replace, though, are the Owens running boards, as they've rusted away and might cause someone to fall while entering the van. The beat-up nature of this van reflects the average NYPD RMP ambiance perfectly, especially a 911 used one. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.